Everybody knows that the dice are loaded. Everybody knows that the good guys lost.
What was that, Doug?
It's royalty-free music until we get an actual intro or theme song from somebody.
I thought that was you doing that voice.
Oh yeah, that
It
was me
was
doing
him.
the voice over
It
the
was.
music. Yeah.
Yeah,
I just felt it's.
But Leonard Cohen disagrees because that's Leonard Cohen lyrics that's what you were just singing.
It just made me feel like the intro to pump up the volume. That's all.
To give Doug credit, that what he sent me is legitimately YouTube royalty-free music. So,
Right on.
Trying to play by the rules. Yeah.
God, if only one of us was a musician or something that could fucking write some piece of music for our show, right? If he wasn't such a lazy piece of shit.
That's not what I was going with, but if you're taking it that way.
I just realized John's name.
Thanks, guys.
World Order of Peace.
So, hey, good morning, Paul. How are
Morning.
you feeling today?
Bright lights suck.
Tiny bubbles in the wine.
I'll tell you what, though, I think we had a blast last night on that show. So
Oh, it was very entertaining from this.
I have no regrets.
It's funny because right after Doug called me, I set all my shit up and tried to get on the feed, but you didn't post a link for anybody to join. And by that time, it had ended anyway. So.
Oh yeah, I was just sending them directly to Doug, but if you guys want, I'll put them in the regular.
I was gonna come have a beer with you, but that didn't happen.
I'll tell you what, you tell us when a free night that you feel like you'd want to do that, and I was telling him last night, I'll do it once. I've made up my mind. I'll do it one time only, but I will do a show where I crush a 6-pack with you guys. You pick the time and place, but only one time.
Yeah, we should do
I still got 8 Bud Lights left over, so
Hair of the dog, man. Start
drinking. And if you guys are just bored on any night of the week, we could do mystery pods, just random mystery pods.
That'd be kind of fun.
I'll make a graphic up for it if you want, ready to go, and have all the brand new ready to go.
You know what'd be fun is to figure out a fun board game that you could play, we could do, you know what I mean, a virtual kind of board game to play and make it our own.
I got the perfect game we could play. Who's in my mouth?
How's that gonna work?
Mm-hmm.
We've all got PlayStations, right?
Yes, we do.
Bob's got a PlayStation 5.
They've got those Jax virtual games that you can play.
Can we talk about PlayStation for a second? Because I was doing some research last night. I'm fucking
John.
Really...
I love you so much. We'll give you more than a second.
Oh, sweet. So PS5s are still fucking hard to find. My PS4 is fucking up. So my PS4 broke in my last house. So I was like, you know what? Maybe today I'll go out, spoil myself, and I'll buy a PS4 Pro.
No.
Do you know that PS4 Pros brand new are super fucking rare now, and people are charging $700 for them?
Do you know that as of 3 days ago, Sony announced literally to the world that they can't make any PS5s right now, so they're putting PS4s back into production?
Really?
It's the chip issue.
Yes.
It's the because a certain country surrendered another country that was filled with all the materials you needed to make for chips, and they no longer have the well for those chips, the materials for those chips.
Afghanistan, really?
Yeah.
That's where the material is coming from?
The raw material from the earth. Now China's getting it, which it is what it is. But the materials are scarce anyway. But that's what it is. It's the chip shortage that's holding it back. That's why I had to wait a year for Starlink.
But on the other hand, so the next day, in response to that, Microsoft announced to the world, we have ceased making all last-gen consoles to currently focus only on our new consoles.
Well, good for Microsoft. Fuck that.
I agree.
So, so I could buy a refurbished or used PS4 Pro for $400. I'm like, why the fuck would I spend $400 on a used PS4 Pro?
I absolutely would not.
Yeah.
I have a PS4.
Yeah, PS4 Pro.
No.
I think what Bob is saying is he would borrow you the PS4 to get you through.
Yeah, the Pro was, to me, the Pro was pointless anyway.
I had a Pro. I liked it because it had all the 4K streaming stuff. So
Yeah, but
I
you
enjoyed
still,
that aspect of it.
it still didn't stream. Your Netflix wasn't in true 4K. It was upscaled through the PS4 Pro. It wasn't native. You couldn't play 4K discs on it. So I thought it was a waste of money to spend that extra cash on something that you couldn't utilize the actual
John,
resolution
when's your birthday?
of.
When's your birthday?
My birthday is actually coming up here in a few weeks, February 8th.
Oh shit, you're 2 days after me. My birthday's February 6th.
Right on.
What I was gonna say.
February 8th, I'm getting tattooed. Congrats.
Nice.
In honor of my birthday, you're getting tattooed. That's so fucking sweet of you.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say, Johnny, is I'm notorious that my number one gift I like to give everybody is an Amazon 4K Fire Stick, because I believe in Amazon 4K Fire Stick. So, but I think your birthday is so close that I don't know if I can find one on sale, but I'll buy one and send it to you as a late birthday gift.
Appreciate that.
I don't have an Amazon 4K Fire Stick.
Doug does.
My birthday's come and went. I'm just saying.
I'm not mad or nothing.
I'm not bitter or anything, but, I don't have one. Do you though? Do you like potato chips?
Yeah, because that's the only chip that there's not a shortage on.
Oh.
There's a delay in the comment from YouTube to the podcast.
I am currently started making chili for today. So my day off. I did not. I'm using a mixture of a ridiculous amount of mozzarella and cheddar today.
I feel like there was something we were supposed to watch for today. Not to veer off the chili topic, but I'm scratching my brain. I thought there was. I'm trying to figure it out. Am I wrong?
I know you wanted us to watch Peacemaker.
That's not it though. There was something else that I thought one of you guys wanted us to watch as a group last week. Something that we talked about. It's no big deal.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I
know you wanted us to listen to the Mcmaster podcast too.
That I just thought was a good podcast.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a good podcast. That's all.
It had its moments. There's a lot of things I agree with him on. There was a lot of things I disagreed with him on.
I finished up Yellow Jackets this morning.
Is that the HBO show?
I heard that's really good.
It's a Showtime show. It's probably my favorite show from last year, honestly.
I feel like Bob just got a Showtime subscription.
I did.
Okay,
because of Dexter, and now
okay. Because I was like, man,
that I wanted.
I thought this last week. I'm like, Bob's really recommending a lot of Showtime stuff to me lately.
I literally got it for Dexter, and now I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much done with Showtime. I've watched that in Yellow Jackets. And
Billions. I'm getting caught up on
Chai
right now.
Yeah,
Chai is a good show,
dude. I don't know if it's still on there. If it's part of, I think it was Cinemax, not Showtime. But Mike Judge's Tales from the Tour Bus. That was a good show.
That's
Cinemax.
Great show. Great series.
Is it on HBO Max?
It might be. I don't know if it is or not. HBO Max is weird. It's got weird things. Some of the stuff that's on there, I'm just weird how that licensing works on some of that stuff.
Well, I think it's all AT&T. So it's all licensing of AT&T properties, which is not only HBO stuff. It's Disney, DC, Paramount,
Warner.
Everything AT&T owns. Yeah, Time Warner.
I'll tell you what. You've watched Shameless, right, Bob?
I'm on the second half of the last season.
Yeah, Shameless is a good Showtime show. Billions you should absolutely watch. There's other shows too. Yeah, there's a lot of good Showtime shows that you should give a chance to.
I'll
have to come up with a list.
I don't know if anybody's watched Heels except for me and Doug, but that's a really
good Heels is so good.
That's not Showtime though.
That's Stars, but it's still that may be one of my favorite new shows that's come out in a long time. That's a good show.
There hasn't been. So I finished New Blood. I started Yellow Jackets, and I was like, I had no expectations whatsoever for that show.
Neither did I.
And fuck, man, by the end of the first episode, I was hooked. Like, the casting is fantastic. The music.
What's it about?
So the premise is you've got 4 friends, just like us in modern day. And then it flashes back to what happened in 1996 when they were all in high school together. And they were a girls' soccer team called the Yellow Jackets, and their plane goes down, and they're lost in the wilderness for 19 months. And over the course of the series, you start to find out what they did to survive and why they're so fucked up now.
Oh, wow.
They ate each other, didn't they?
Can't tell you because the show doesn't really fucking tell you.
They ate each other out.
Out.
All right. I'll tell you what happens. I'll tell you what happens after 5 seasons. You realize it was all a dream.
Oh God! Fuck Lost.
I don't think there's a
Lost wasn't a dream. What are you talking about?
Or what? I don't know. What are you talking about, Paul? Maybe
I
I'm
was
wrong.
talking about Lost.
Oh yeah, no, Lost wasn't a dream. He was dead. That's what it was. He was
it
dead in purgatory. I still hated the ending of that show.
I
never watched Lost.
God damn it! Nobody understands the ending of that fucking show.
I never watched Lost.
You know why? Because that show went all over the map after season 3. That's why nobody understands it. Because you can't fucking follow it.
It got crazy, but if you paid attention.
Okay. Favorite J.J. Abrams show?
Lost.
Let me Google get a list up of his TV show work because I want to make sure I get the right one.
There's I know there's one.
Not
I
Lost
just
for
can't think
me.
of it off the top of my head.
I got one off the top of my head.
Did he? No, he just
Jesus.
produced it. Does it get? I'm sorry. Does it get? I get excited. I'm sorry. Did he produce or write Fringe? I can't recall.
I'm just going. Fringe is by far my answer.
I was gonna say Fringe is mine right off the bat if that's the case, and it is the case. I'm looking at it on Google right now.
Yeah.
It's Fringe for me.
Look. I'm not gonna pick any. I guess I've watched a couple.
Well, then you're a pussy.
I watched a couple of episodes of Fringe and enjoyed it. Lost, I haven't watched it since it aired. Alias, Jennifer, what's her name, is really hot.
And ex-girlfriend.
And Felicity.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Who cares about Felicity?
Somebody clearly did. It was on for how many years?
Somebody could tell me what Felicity's about.
4?
I'll give them a Bob and Doug Save You from Boredom sticker when I get them.
Well done.
That wasn't a dig. I was just trying to make an honest joke.
At one point, I'll walk out to the mailbox and
You're becoming like Nick Swartz in fucking Grant. Was it Benchwarmers?
Well,
yeah,
Benchwarmers. Were you afraid of the sun?
The sun's back.
Dude, that was my favorite character of his.
He's got some good ones.
Grandma's Boy is my favorite. Yeah, I can't believe you came on my roommate.
You gotta. I love your race car bed. Thanks. My roommates got it for me last Christmas. They said this Christmas they're gonna think about getting me some rims or another CB radio so I could talk to other car beds.
So stupid.
I love that movie.
Yeah. I don't.
Well,
Good.
No, we were talking about TV shows and shit, like in general that you would recommend. Like you recommended Yellow Jackets. I recommend Peacemaker. Honestly, if I don't think you have to watch the Suicide Squad to really understand it, but it does pick up right after the end of James Gunn, and James Gunn is all over it. It's the perfect balance, I think, of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies and his movie Super that he did with Rainn Wilson and Elliot Page. See how I did that? And the first episode was good, but the second episode is where it cranks it the fuck. Like, I think every one of you guys would find something hilarious about this show. It is violent, bloody, vulgar, hilarious, just ridiculous all over.
Check it out.
Now, I have a question here, and this is not me trying to be insensitive or politically incorrect or what have you, but so
that's why I got the shirt on.
I'm hoping this just turns into why do fags like you? You know what I mean?
Whoa! Jesus. No, so I know what dead naming is. Okay, so the question is, if the person was Ellen when they did the work, and now they're Elliot. Are they still credited as Ellen on the show? Or
Mike, I'll give you one. I'll answer that question with a question of my own, Bob. Can we go after them and cancel them now since they were lying and portraying somebody that they had no business portraying? They shouldn't have been portraying female characters if they were.
Jesus Christ.
So
it's not. Hey, that is not. Hey, I'm not being a dick. I'm not being a dick, but that's a valid question to ask. Why can't I ask that question? It would happen. Look, you tell me if Mickey Rooney was alive, if he wouldn't be getting shit for playing an Asian guy in Breakfast at Tiffany's. I mean, he did get shit for it, but like you get what I'm saying.
Did he get shit for it anyway?
But you get what I'm saying. Is it not the same kind of thing?
So, Bob, I'm happy you brought up this phenomenon because me and Doug talked about this last week, and I don't know if Doug remembers when the Matrix buzz was all going on, because I didn't watch the new Matrix, but I was on HBO.
I haven't watched it. I forgot that I have to watch.
You're not missing anything.
I watched the. I was on HBO Max, and it was on the home screen, the banner, and you know how they write the synopsis.
Yeah.
For a movie underneath it, like when you're slicking it, it was like, the Wojcicki sisters. I watched the original Matrix. I watched the original Matrix on HBO Max. And on the page for the description, I noticed before I hit play on the movie, the description for the original Matrix said the Wojcicki sisters make a compelling blah, 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 blah. And it goes into the thing. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I watched the original Matrix, and I paid a special attention when the movie ended for the credits to wondering if they went back to change the credits. And it didn't. It said the Wojcicki brothers.
Wachowski,
whatever.
Interesting. Yeah. And like I said, I have trans friends. I'm very curious, like if the achievements you did as you were younger or before you renamed yourself, how do you feel about somebody?
I think it goes to like your current name. I read a book recently.
You read?
Yes. on tape.
Yeah. I've got Audible now too.
Yeah, I love Audible. No, it's a really good book, and actually, Bob, you should also read / listen to it. Let me find the name of it.
How to not be offensive in today's America.
I feel like Bob wants to say, I really want to know who won the gold medal in the 80s. Was it Bruce or Caitlin? And then all of a sudden the X-Files music starts playing.
That's horrible.
All right, the book is called Sellout, the major label feeding frenzy that swept punk, emo, and hardcore 1994 to 2007.
Send me the link for that. I'll check that out.
Well, it's great. But in the book, they talk. But in the book, they talk about Laura Jane Grace and Against Me.
Yeah.
And as they're talking about Against Me's earlier work, like reinventing Axl Rose, they never once referred to him as Tom Gables.
Okay.
They always refer to them as Laura Jane Grace recording, reinventing Axl Rose, Naples, Florida. Laura Jane Grace used to play shows in Naples, Florida. Coming up, it was just him and a drummer with a fucking bucket and blah 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 blah. Never once after they transitioned do they ever, in that book at least, do they ever mention Tom Gables or the name Tom Gables. They always just refer to them as Laura Jane Grace. So I don't know if that's the politically correct thing to do, but I thought it was interesting while reading.
No, it just popped into my head.
By the way, the book is extremely fascinating, and it's all about underground punk bands and emo bands that got major label signings and releases. Really quick, I'm just going to give you the names of the chapters. Chapter 1, Green Day. Chapter 2, Jawbreaker. 3, Jimmy Eat World. 4, Blink-182. 5, At the Drive-In. 6, The Donnas. 7, Thursday. 8, The Distillers. 9, My Chemical Romance. 10, Rise Against. And 11, Against Me. So it's literally about all those bands that are recording to their major label debuts and their fan bases and how they reacted and how the record did. And there's some really interesting stories in there.
I'm currently reading Anarchy, Evolution, Faith, Science, and Bad Religion in a World Without God.
Nice.
That's what I'm currently reading, not listening to, and I just got the stand on Audible because I was like, fuck it, somebody can read that for me.
Best book ever.
I also understand on Audible.
I haven't started listening to it yet, but I have a friend at work who shares Audible gifts with me. She gets free credits all the time, and we pick books with each other to listen to. Last month, I picked Dave Grohl's book, and
that was amazing.
It was a great book. And this month she picked Rob Halford, so I have yet to start listening to that, but I'm going to start listening to his autobiography.
Yeah, I listened to the Dave Grohl book on Audible, and it blew me away. It's great that he reads it. And then for Christmas, my mother actually bought me a hardback copy of it. That's how much I enjoyed it. So
I did see some reviews saying that more than one review actually on that book saying the storyteller half the stories he doesn't finish, he just jumps to another topic. And I was like, I wonder if that's true.
I can't speak to like from the perspective of reading it in the book form because I listen to the audio book, but like at work, that's not something I really noticed. You know what I mean? It just felt like fun, entertaining stories that transition. Like I didn't think about it like that. You know what I mean? Like they kind of blended together for me. And he found a way to tie a lot of them together. And that it was fascinating.
Yeah. I want a book from Matt Pinfield. That's what I want.
So call him up and tell him.
Yeah,
I'll message him, but he should write a book, and he knows he should fucking write a book. I mean, I don't know anyone who, other than, think of another personality that you know that knows more about music. It's just creepy.
Can I tell you, I'm glad that we never did a podcast with him before the StreamYard thing, because I used to think about like when he would talk about like, yeah, let's set it up this weekend, we'll go ahead and then it would never happen, and all I would ever think about was like, this guy's going to do an 8-hour podcast and I'm going to have to sift through 8 hours to edit this. And now it's like, fuck it, let's have him on because I don't have to edit shit, man. Let him go, turn him on and let him go.
Yeah, he literally, like, every time I'm seeing him post something, he was doing punk rock karaoke the other night in downtown LA, singing the Ace of Spades with like some all-star band, and I'm like, you got such a cool life.
He does. There's a lot of people like him that do. A lot of those guys who have figured out a way to cultivate a life without going crazy.
Yeah,
and just stay real. Dave Chappelle, he's another one. He's been doing. I've been seeing him lately. Last week, doing pop-up shows here and there, just randomly, just killing it like crazy. Like talking about Bob Saget's death and that, like real poignant points to make.
Yeah, rest in peace, Bob Saget. We didn't even touch on that. Yeah, it's very very sad.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine about that last week when it happened, and this person's mom was like, "Man, he was such a good guy." And then my friend was like, "Did you ever listen to any of his actual,
we talked about it last night, like how raunchy and graphic his stand-up was.
He is not the person that everyone, he wasn't Danny Tanner.
Do you remember him on Entourage, where he played himself on Entourage?
I never watched that show.
It was just like coke and whores and just.
You ever remember? Was it Half Baked? You ever suck dick for coke? That's an addiction, man. We talked about it.
You ever suck dick for marijuana? That's what he said.
Yeah, you ever suck dick for some marijuana? We talked about it. Go ahead.
My favorite stand-up joke of his is. Between takes, Uncle Jesse and me were fucking Kimmy Gibbler. And I don't know why, but that always cracks me up. The way he delivers it is hilarious.
Last night we talked about like how quickly his death came, like how it was so weird. Like a lot of celebrity deaths happen, and some of them, like, yeah, that's sad, people die, and I get why people mourn them, but like it very rarely does like a celebrity or somebody well-known die where I'm like, this is like, it really hits me. And I mean, we had like 3 back-to-back where it was like Bob Saget, fucking Betty White, and then but Norm capped it at the beginning of how, like, that was one of my that was a shitty death, man. Like that one's still kind of, and we talked about that last night. Like 2 of the funniest people are no longer here anymore now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's face facts. We're at the age where most of our quote-unquote heroes are going to be going, unless your hero's Keith Richards, because he's clearly never going to die. But
yeah, no shit, man.
I honestly thought Keith Richards was older than he is.
How old is he?
Hold on, I pulled it up the other day because it was kind of shocking. Hold on. What would you guess his age to be? I mean, just thinking off the top of your head about when they started.
Late 70s, late
I'd
70s.
say 86.
I'd say 81.
$1, Bob.
Keith Richards is 78.
I was late 70s, early 80s. I was close.
Born a year and a week after a year and a week after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, honestly, looking at the expanse of their career, I would have guessed he would have been mid 80s.
And how many kids does Mick Jagger have, and what is the youngest? That's the next question, because he had a kid recently, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think he has like a 7-year-old or something.
Saying that old 7-year-old's jizz is just pumping out girls' backs, man. Still, that's crazy.
Ugh, come on, man.
What?
Ugh.
Oh God, be a man for crying out loud. Men talk about things. There's a few things we talk about as men: beef jerky, pussy.
Really? When's the last time you had to talk about beef jerky?
We've literally never made beef jerky, Dale.
This is a house of learned doctors.
Anybody see Spider-Man: No Way Home?
No, I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies.
Yes,
It's a good movie.
I loved it.
I've heard good.
It made me very happy.
It was.
Check it out.
I watched it again this morning, and it's a really, really sublime film. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. I mean, I thought it was okay.
Oh, you went to the theater this morning?
Yep. Yep. I did.
There's some early hours up there, man.
Theater of the mind, man. What? Hey, it used to in Florida, like Bell Tower used to open up at like 8 in the morning. Like, what time do they open up now?
Not anymore. Earliest show ever is usually like 10:45 or 11.
Between 1 and 3 on Thursdays only now.
Pretty much. I mean, there's God, I had a fun interaction the other night with a anti-mask gentleman. And I was wearing my mask, which, my mask is big enough to almost cover my beard. And he was giving the clerk shit because there was like they have like a plastic thing between. I don't know if they do that up there, but they have like plastic things at some
places do.
Yeah, so they had one of those, and he's like, "What is this? This isn't fucking science." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have some fun with this guy if he approaches me." We get into the parking lot, and he's like, "That's the biggest fucking mask I've ever seen." I'm like, "I've probably got a bigger beard than you've ever seen." Next question. And he's like, they don't work, do they? I'm like, "Do I care about your opinion?" And this went on for a little while, and he's like, "You should watch some science." And I was like, "I should watch science. I should watch some science." I'm like, I said, "Let me get this straight. You who are driving a golf cart and drinking a Modelo at 3 a.m. on 41 are going to sit and explain to me the science."
Absolutely. He knows.
Yeah. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Well,
in fairness, was this last night?
No, this was last week.
Oh, last week. On Friday, the CDC came out and said that cloth masks are ineffective.
Yeah, this was a week ago.
I was about to bring that up. I woke up this morning and read a news article from CNN, the liberal fucking news station that said,
trusted name and something
that said, facial masks are more than just facial decorations. If you're not using a N95 or KN95 mask, it's absolutely pointless. Man. And I was like, that's funny, because I remember they said that at the beginning of the pandemic, and then all of a sudden, when we couldn't find those masks anymore, they were like, oh, okay, yeah, just put something over your face, it's fine.
Yeah.
At my job, when this all started, we were given those masks. We were given a limited amount of those 95 masks, and we were told these are only to be used in an emergency in the event that a kid You know what?
I've been waiting
29
for him to drop the ball on where he works.
I caught my 29 minutes, 20 seconds, Paul. I want that time stamped. We're cutting that out.
What? What happened? What did I miss?
It's going to take.
He doesn't want to say where he works.
Okay, it's okay.
You didn't say the name of it.
I didn't say the name. I caught myself. I just don't like talking about work. I don't like bringing that on the show. But like, we were told explicitly not to use those unless of an emergency. And they sat. We were told just use the regular ones, use the neck gaiters. And Dr. Fauci says that shit's okay, even though he already said that masks do nothing, and then said, "Oh, they do something." And those things sat collecting dust. Now they're the only ones. They're the only lifeline now. Like I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with everybody. I'm over COVID. I'll continue to talk about it, make jokes about it, and have an opinion on it. But I am over this shit, man. It is fucking. I'm over more than anything. I'm over fucking people acting like they fucking know what's going on when none of us do.
Agreed. As far as I go, I was over it in October of 2020. But once me and Doug had it in November, I'm really over it now.
Like literally.
I'm not gonna sit here, Doug. You with no medical degree, me with no medical degree, you sitting there in front of your Devil's Rejects poster, hitting your vape pen like you know anything.
I don't know anything. If
but
anything,
I know everything. Notice I didn't say anything to me. I know everything.
No, I'm literally pantomiming Bill Burr talking to Joe.
Hey, real quick, and this is for Bob and John. I think John, it might be a yes. Bob, I don't know. Did you guys watch the Shane Gillis, Ari, Mark Norman, Jerry, or listen to it? Okay, good.
So funny.
Please,
so funny.
if you watched it, John, watch the opening monologue from me and Doug's show last night. My opening monologue.
Okay.
It kind of covers what we're talking about here and the whole Shane Gillis. It's pretty fucking funny. It's the reason I drank. It's the reason I drank last night.
I honestly think that I think I'm the only one on here that the only time I ever listen to Joe Rogan is if I want to hear that guest. Otherwise, I don't care at all.
Oh, I listen to every episode.
I'm like John and Paul, and I used to be like you. In the beginning, I used to listen to him because it was just him. I started listening to him when I was delivering back in Florida, when he was still doing it out of his apartment with just comics would come over after the sets at the Comedy Store. And it got to the point where it stopped being about that, and it started having people way smarter than me, and I would tune out. Like, I would only listen, like you, Bob, when guests that I wanted to listen to. Over the last year and a half, like, he's become a hell of a good interviewer. Like, I'd say one of the best interviewers, because it doesn't make me feel like I'm hearing one side or the other. It feels like I'm hearing everything and just getting an honest take on everything. And almost all of it's fascinating. A year ago, I never would have listened to some fucking general, like the guy that was on the other day that I told you guys to listen to. It was a fascinating conversation that touched on shit we were all talking about, you know? So
yeah, I like him as a UFC commentator. As far as this podcast, I just don't really care one way or the other. I mean,
stand-up. I think his stand-up's good too.
I haven't seen anything of his stand-up since the Carlos Mencia era.
I would recommend going on Netflix and watching all the specials. Watching Triggered and what's the one after Triggered? Strange Times. Triggered's funny as shit.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, all of my friends can sit and like just watch stand-up, and I haven't really enjoyed just watching stand-up in a long time.
I only enjoy watching good stand-ups. Like there's a lot of bad stand-ups out there who get Netflix specials that I think are absolutely atrocious. But a good stand-up locks you in from the beginning and keeps you there the whole time.
Who are the bad ones? Just out of curiosity.
I mean, ones that I don't like. I mean, what's her nuts?
That narrows it.
Legion of Skanks. No, I like Nikki Glaser. I'm a fan of. They worked on her show. Why am I blanking on this right
Michelle
now?
Wolf?
Hungover. No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Michelle Wolf, but that's besides the point.
Eliza Schlesinger.
The reason Netflix doesn't have a rating system anymore. Her comedy specials. The reason you can't do a rating system.
Chelsea Handler.
No, it's not Chelsea. Big Girl.
Big Girl.
Big J. Okerson worked on her TV show when she had a Comedy Central show.
Amy Schumer?
Thank you. Amy Schumer.
I'm not a fan
Chuck Schumer's niece.
No.
So wait, why do they not have a rating system because of her?
Because when her special came out, it like everybody decimated it. Like it was a 0 out of 10. and Netflix, to save face with her, got rid of the rating system for everything.
Kind of like
moved it to the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like when the Seth Rogen Santa Inc. came out and YouTube removed the comment section because it got so poorly negatively reviewed? Like universally, I think it got like 40,000 thumbs down within the first day.
The controversy on that, the only thing I knew about that was Rotten Tomatoes was deleting bad reviews. Like they were just wiping bad reviews out for it.
Like the trailer for it, what I had heard is when they debuted the trailer for Santa Inc., people hated it so much when they found out what the show was actually about and like what the agenda they were trying to push was, that they downvoted it so much. I think it got like a total of 3,000 to 4,000 likes, but like somewhere in the excess of close to over 400,000 dislikes, I believe, to where they took the dislike button off to show you just the positive likes. Like it was they disengaged the comments and
and I know I'm an unpopular company here, but carry on, Bob. I'm not a Patton Oswalt stand-up fan.
His early work is good.
I've seen more stuff of his acting than I have of his actual stand-up. So
yeah, like for me, I like Louis C.K. I mean, the big names, obviously Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan. I do think is funny. I don't think Joe Rogan's the funniest stand-up. No. Brian Posehn, I think, is hilarious. I mean, Nikki Glaser. I really enjoyed Nikki Glaser's. Whitney Cummings, Whitney Cummings' early work, I liked.
Kyle Kinane is a fantastic comedian. Maybe one of the top five.
Every single person you have said has nothing on Jeff Ross.
I do enjoy Jeff Ross.
Well, I like Jeff Ross too. But what are you fucking talking about?
No, I'm kidding. I don't find Jeff Ross funny.
I'll tell you who I think is extremely underrated.
Jeff Ross, Carrot Top.
I'll tell you who I think is extremely underrated, and I don't mean underrated in the comedy community. I mean in mainstream, is Dave Attell. I think Dave Attell is seriously underrated in mainstream.
He's regarded as one of the best stand-up
among comedians
of all time. Absolutely.
My personal opinion of living comedians today, strictly joke writer comedians, pound for pound, nobody comes near Dave Attell. He is one of the quickest joke writers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it. So good.
And that's what I'm like
Don
I say
Rickles sharp.
Yep.
Yeah. When I'm saying not mainstream, he should be up there in the mainstream light to me as Dave Chappelle. Like Dave Chappelle's above him by a little bit, but they should be neck and neck. And you just don't hear about him a lot.
What was that show Dave Attell used to have?
It was Insomniac. There's Insomniac was his first show on Comedy Central. Mm-hmm. He had another show on Showtime that ran for 2 seasons called Dave's Old Porn, where he would go through vintage VHS porn tapes and review them with comedians and musicians and the porn stars that were in those porns. And then he had a show called Dave Attell's Underground, where he showcased young comedians like Big J. Okerson, Dan Soder, Robert Kelly, in the Village Underground. And he had then he had a roadwork special called Dave Attell's Roadwork, which was fucking fantastic. And then Bumping Mics with Jeff Ross, which was also equally fantastic, I think. Yeah. He's never done anything bad. I love Dave Attell. I fucking love Dave Attell.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. And Shane Gillis. I think Shane Gillis is the best up-and-comer right now.
Yeah, you walk away, fucking Dave Attell hater. Fuck you, Bob. Fuck you. Fuck you. Yeah, do something. That's what I thought. You walk away, you little bitch.
So get your aggression out on this couch while he's.
I lost signal for the first time ever. My Starlink lost signal for a second, so I missed what happened there.
What
for like 30 seconds?
I'll have to go back and watch it.
Or you come back. John's just screaming at an empty couch.
No. It was like right. I came back right before Bob stood up and walked away.
Oh, he had to go do something real quick. He'll be right back.
Yeah, but I missed like 30 seconds prior to that. I came in. You were talking about porn stars or something like that.
Oh, we were talking about Dave Attell's body of work, his shows that he's done since Insomniac.
Oh, Insomniac was great too as a kid.
I saw Dave Attell and Lewis Black on the Insomniac tour. Comedy Central presents Insomniac tour, and that was Mitch Hedberg open for him. It was a good show, great show. I got fucking hammered. I got really hammered. You know, it's funny because I didn't really know Dave Attell. Nobody knew who Mitch Hedberg was. That was the night I discovered Mitch Hedberg, and I went for Lewis Black, and I was drinking. I was like 22, 23. It was really early on, and I got fucking drunk within the first 20 minutes of being in the Hard Rock. and Lewis Black came out, and somebody yelled something from across the room, and he was trying to, what did you fucking say? And I was so pissed drunk, sitting by myself around people I didn't know, and I yelled out, he said, welcome to fucking Florida, Loon. He's like, see, this is why we shouldn't be giving people alcohol at the beginning of the show. Some fucking idiot pipes up. I'm like, God damn it, I'm an idiot.
Can we talk about Bob's chair? I've never seen that chair before.
It looks like he got it in New Mexico.
He actually bought it from my great grandmother's estate. Actually,
did he
seriously?
really?
Like no joke?
Yes.
Well, then I'm not going to say the joke I was going to say.
My great grandmother's dead. I know it was a lot of digging. Arms are tired.
That's how old school we are, Italians, man. We bury our own.
The joke I was going to say was it looks like it used to be the lady of the house's chair at a cotton plantation in the 1860s.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. I know something. If anybody has thoughts, I think John's might be I don't know if you've ever watched the Jinx on HBO, Paul, but Robert Durst. Nobody, you neither.
I haven't watched the Jinx, but I'm familiar with the Robert Durst whole scenario.
I'm actually kind of amazed that well, not that you haven't watched it, but John hasn't watched it. Considering I know that John likes like true crime, like documentary style stuff. The Jinx is a fantastic HBO show. Is it a
documentary or is it a series?
Yeah, no, it's a series. It's a HBO series.
Docu-series. It's a limited
it's
run.
5 or 6 episodes, and it came out right before True Detective. It was around that time, and it was called The Jinx: The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst, and it's about this. I forget what he's an heir to, like a.
Well, it wasn't the life. It wasn't the life and death because he didn't die until like a week or two ago.
No, it was called The Life and Deaths of Robert Durst.
Okay.
The murderous guy. So no, he faked his own death and created personalities and shit to hide behind. But he was the heir of some family, some rich family, and he kept getting away. He murdered I can't remember the context of the people involved, but he murdered somebody in like the late 70s, early 80s, and he got away with it. And he was always looked at as the murderer, but he was a very eccentric person, but nobody ever questioned it because he's wealthy. You know, he's from money, but he's weird. And somebody else went missing. He faked his death. He popped up years later stealing an egg salad sandwich from some gas station, and he got busted, and he got bailed out because of his ties. And then somebody else died. And as this is all happening, it's like a 5 or 6 episode docuseries. On the very fuck it, it's been out for almost 2 decades. It's not a spoiler alert at this point, but like at the very end of the last episode, the documentarian's interviewing him throughout the whole process, like trying to get his side versus the people that are saying he did this shit. And he brings up all these interesting points that tie together that would clearly implicate Robert's involvement. And Robert's like, he starts burping, and he's like, I have to go to the bathroom. And he goes to the bathroom and forgets that he's mic'd up. And as he's in the bathroom, he starts talking to himself. He's like, they fucking got you. He's like, you got away with it this long, but they fucking got you. And he got arrested immediately and charged for it. He just died in prison like a week ago. So it's one of the most fascinating documentary series. It's called The Jinx.
Do they interview his brother Fred Durst and his thoughts on it? Because I'm really curious to hear his thoughts on it.
Keep rolling. Huh.
There's nothing I can really say.
I know y'all be loving this shit right here.
L-I-M-P, biscuit
is right here.
That's right. Right. Keep rolling.
Fuck
you, Bob. You stay away, Bob. That's what I thought. Yeah, Bob. Stay away.
If I remember correctly, Doug, Robert Durst comes from old New York money. Like his family was the one who handled all the real estate. I think, if I remember correctly.
He is. He's a real estate mogul. I'm looking it up to
his family was real estate moguls. He wasn't. He was old money. He was born into it.
Where'd John go now?
Son,
he was the son of New York City real estate magnate Seymour Durst and the elder brother of Douglas Durst, head of the Durst organization.
Yeah, I knew they were old New York money. That's all I can remember.
That's pretty good. And that's what I remember about the show is as the show is going on and they explain like how he's been able to get away with this and how he keeps getting bailed out. It's because the Durst organization keeps pulling the strings and just having him bailed out. And he's like, yeah, he's our Fredo. What are you going to do? Like, we got to bail him out.
Can you imagine
coming from so powerful?
Can you imagine coming from a family of that magnitude of wealth?
No.
Like
I
mean,
go ahead.
I think growing up like poor to middle class was like a great upbringing because it really teaches you a lot of like how to live life. I just wonder what I'd be like if we were trust fund babies.
Probably a prick.
I mean, I'm still a prick now, so that's irrelevant.
That's why
I'd rather be a prick with money.
That's why I can't imagine. But that's why I can't imagine growing up in that setting, because I have to imagine that a lot of kids aren't actually raised by their parents in those scenarios. They're raised by nannies and housekeepers.
Oh yeah.
While their parents are off making the money that they can inevitably be spoiled with and never have to work for a day in their life. And that leads to them. I mean, that usually leads to people becoming shittier people towards other people. And I agree. The way we were raised is nice. It teaches you. I think we were shown like what the pecking order is. And that if you have two brain cells to rub together, you can be the same person you are and achieve that success and not have to be like that. Whereas if you were raised in it, I think it's just inevitable,
Yeah, I'll always give credit to our father for raising us and teaching us work ethic. And like when I say this, don't like I got to caveat this. My dad was like a really hardworking guy, and he was motivated, but I don't think he was ambitious in life. Like I don't think he had an ambition to excel to like the highest like my dad never wanted to be president of the United States. You know what I mean?
Who the fuck would though? But yeah, I mean,
I'm using that as an example. I don't think my dad wanted to be the lead singer of a metal band either. You know what I mean? Like,
I honestly think Dad, in a lot of senses, kind of when I really objectively think about it, it feels a lot more like me. Like, has spent most of his life trying different things, not knowing exactly what he wanted. I mean, our dad's the kind of guy who would go to school and educate himself on whatever he wanted. When we moved to Florida, he was a registered nurse. He became.
CNA.
CNA, like he decided that.
Hey Bob, how's it going, brother? Hey buddy.
Everything good now?
Yeah, I was having can opener issues.
Bob, that's a really nice chair you have, by the way.
Hey,
It's one of my mom's chairs.
Oh, it's your mom's chair, not John's grandma's chair.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Jesus.
So, no, I'm not at John's grandma's house, if that's what you're
I believed
asking.
you, John. I believed you.
No, when you got up, John's was like, that's actually my dead grandmother. You got that at her estate sale. And he said it pretty convincingly. And I had to look at it. I'm like, it doesn't look that old. But
No, this chair my mother got from Andy's daughter, who's an interior designer and spends insane amounts of money on furniture.
like Andre's fiance.
Kind of, yeah. Only more than that. Like when she does homes for like NFL players and MLB players and stuff.
What bothers me is that you and John get those references. Paul has never really watched the league. Like I think he's checked it out, but it wasn't his cup of tea.
I know, like
Speaking of which, Kevin,
yeah, he's
from
coming
the
down
league
here.
Yeah, I want to go next week, man. You want to go? You want to go check it out?
What night is it?
I don't know. I think it's like Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday.
I think there's
Steve
one
Rennes-
early Sunday show.
Steve Rennes, Ari Shafir's got some great stories of coming up with Steve Rennes working the door and being ticket takers at the Comedy Store, like some of the crazy shit they did together.
So
I
didn't know he was a goddamn stand-up comedian until I got the ad that he's coming to Naples.
How do you feel about his whole cancellation that was self-brought on?
I think I'll be honest with you. I think it kind of came and went, and it was one of those ones where like he acknowledged, like immediately came out, like, yeah, I fucked up. I should have said something. I let it go on.
I don't know.
Steve
Rennes, back in the day, he claimed that he was in the Twin Towers and worked for State Farm when they were hit.
Okay.
And
it wasn't
all
true?
of that was a lie. All of it was a lie.
It was a dumb thing that he told, like when he was an up and coming comic. He just like trying to figure out who he was and develop his personality. He said it, and then he said it not thinking it was going to come back, and then people kept asking about it, and he didn't know how to like break it, like something that fucked up. So he just kept going with it as best he could, and then it kind of blew up in his face. It became like a big story right around the time the league was getting ready to go off the air, if I'm not mistaken, like towards the last season.
I think that's why it was the last season.
Yeah, yeah, Paul.
I was just gonna say, you do realize that's strikingly eerie to the origin story of the main character of Billions.
Yeah,
Yes.
Axelrod. You're right.
There's somebody on that show named Axelrod.
He's the
The
main
main
character.
character. Yeah,
Damian Lewis.
stop talking about Billions. I'm trying to get caught up right now.
Yeah, because it's coming out next month.
Well, here's what fucked me up about that show is that he is not going to be on the new current season, and I go,
No.
why isn't he going to be on the new current season? And then I realized what they did during the pandemic. They released 5 episodes of season 5 at one time, and then they released the second half of it later. I didn't realize they released the second half of it later. I thought it was just those 5 episodes. So now I have to rewatch the entire season to see what happens with him.
They filmed after the pandemic. They completed those episodes, and then while they were doing that, they just went ahead and they said, "Fuck it, we've already got season 6 written because of the pandemic, our time off. So let's just film it back to back." And that's what they did. So they finished up the last 4 or 5 episodes, I think November, December, and then next month they got the whole new season 6. And Corey Stoll is going to be the new bad guy, I think, for this season, which I'm excited for because I love Corey Stoll. But I don't know for sure because they haven't said anything. But Damian Lewis, I believe, is going to take some time off because his wife passed away during the filming of season 5, and I think that's why his departure is he needs to grieve.
So
there was another
Damian
comedian
Eccles,
whose wife passed away. What was that guy's name?
Patton Oswalt. He murdered her.
Sure, guy.
I'm kidding. But I'll tell you what, I genuinely don't believe he did. Not intentionally, but I will say this: after watching that video, it's hard for me to not acknowledge that there's plausible explanation for why it could have happened that way. It fucks with my head, dude. I really don't want it to be that way, but he made good points. Bob, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's where I was going. That's where I was going with it. But
thank you for leading me.
So did you guys hear about the big break in the West Memphis 3 case a few fucking weeks ago that wasn't covered by the major news outlets?
No, but now I'm fucking angry that I don't know. Tell me, please.
All right, so let's talk about this. As you all know, the West Memphis 3 did that Alfred fucking plea bullshit. But there are still 3 murdered little children and a killer out there that has never been brought to justice.
It was the stepfathers, what we thought.
Do you know that Damian Eccles has hired a fucking attorney and private investigators to dig deeper into this case to find the actual fucking killers and to clear their names once and for all? So Damian Eccles' lawyer goes down to West Memphis, Arkansas, and says, "Hey, we need to take a look at this evidence. Here's our court subpoena to look at all the evidence." Do you know what the police department tells him?
They don't have it.
All that stuff was burnt down in a fire years ago. We don't have any of the evidence left. It's all gone. All the evidence is left. The lawyer goes, "Okay, that sucks." And then he starts digging a little deeper, and he can find no records of any warehouse fire, no fire trade, no documents. All of a sudden, the chief of the West Memphis Police Department resigns. And then a day later, guess what they find? All the evidence. And when I say all the evidence, they have the fucking bicycle still. They have the fucking ligaments, the rope that was wrapped around the kid's fucking ankles and fucking wrists. They can now do deep DNA testing, modern day testing on all that shit. So keep an eye on the news or the underground news networks because you're about to see a lot of fucking shit come to light in the West Memphis 3 case. And we might
Paradise Lost 4, man.
We might fucking actually get concrete fucking proof, DNA, undisputed evidence of who the fuck committed this crime.
The only thing I really listened to about that, there was a podcast I listened to, and I can't remember, Truth and Justice, and it was an entire season on the West Memphis 3, but it wasn't about the ones who were arrested. It was about the 3 children and the timelines of when they were seen and by whom. It was fascinating.
That was
never
a
heard
big,
that side of the case.
That was a big part of the last documentary, or the documentary that Peter Jackson did. Actually,
Yeah, West of Memphis, which was a good one. That was the turtle. They relied heavily on the evidence of turtle bites and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's so fucked up to think, because how I got involved with the West Memphis 3 case was the actual premiere of Paradise Lost on HBO. I was like fucking 13 years old.
And can
you imagine being a 13-year-old fucking kid and watching that documentary?
How old are you now, John? How old are you going to be?
I'm going to be 38.
Okay, so I'm 4 years older than you. And that, I'm just trying to figure out timelines for myself. But like, that's where the Paradise, I remember bonding with you and Skylar Joseph Dennison over Paradise Lost. Like, I remember a bulk of our friendship consisted of hanging out at your apartment, drinking beers, eating pizza, and watching you introducing me to like Paradise. At the time, it was just Paradise Lost 1 and 2, and Metallica did the soundtracks. And then as we were becoming friends, and like the Alfred Police stuff was coming out, that's when Paradise Lost 3 had come out. What was it called? Purgatory? Was that Paradise Lost 3?
Are they all on HBO?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Paradise Lost 1 and 2 are definitely dated documentaries compared to the time they were made.
But they're they're so important, because it shows all the courtroom shit, and that's what you gotta. Paradise Lost 1 and 2.
It lays the groundwork, but God damn it, if Paradise 3 is not one of Paradise Lost 3 is not one of the most engaging documentaries you'll ever watch. Like the first two, like you said, you have to watch them in order. But God damn it, 3 is so good.
Now I will say, West of Memphis, that's
also good.
That's probably, I mean, to the person who doesn't know anything about the thing, I think they should start there. Bob, I would say watch the West of Memphis documentary first, and then go back and watch Paradise Lost 1, 2, and 3, because Paradise 1, 2, and 3 are deep dives. They're like 2-hour documentaries into this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But West of Memphis kind of breaks everything down in a nice compact package.
I remember the time,
and it has the happy ending of the guys. Well, I don't know about happy ending. That Alfred police.
It's not a happy ending.
It still bothers me to this fucking day. The fact that they had to say, I maintain my innocence, but I won't fucking sue the state for incorrectly incarcerating me for the past 20 years. And
what's irritating, and it's also eye-opening to like the world that we all grew up in at one point, that most kids nowadays wouldn't understand, is like how big of a hold America had when it came to religion, when it came to God and Satan, and the idea that you might listen to music that could corrupt the devil into your life. Like, that was a huge thing for us growing up, that people fucking believed. And you watch a lot of the first 2 Paradise Lost, and it's like, holy fuck, like a lot of this shit could have been avoided with common sense instead of the fear. Like, it's just baffling.
But I think it's deeper than that. I mean, that's kind of what it is on the surface. But basically, there was a murder in a small town, and there was fucking severe pressure on the police force to fucking solve it. When they couldn't solve it, they took 3 fucking kids who wore black, listened to Metallica, and they fucking just railroaded them to get the public off their back.
But the other thing, though, too, is like you had that psychologist guy who's like, I'm an occult specialist, and was giving all kinds of bullshit theories and knowledge that he'd come up with. But you look at people like that, and what enraged me the most about that shit is like Jesse Miss Kelly, who is clearly someone with special needs,
mentally retarded. He is mentally retarded.
And you listen to like the interview tapes, and like the clear time differences, and the way the tapes are switched off, and then the clear comparisons to like Brendan Dassey's interrogation. And it's like, at what point in this country are we going to acknowledge that like it's just fucking insane, man? Like,
yeah, it's like, oh, I'm a cop. Okay, I'm gonna find the guy who's mentally challenged, and I'm gonna fucking just wear him down until I get what I need from him.
Have you guys ever heard of the Pot Brothers, attorney at law?
Mm-mm.
They are weed smoking lawyers that are brothers, and they do these funny commercials. And you can look it up on YouTube. Look up Pot Brothers Attorney at Law, and it's like, we're here to educate you on dealing with the police. Here's the #1 rule: once you get read your Miranda rights, Shut the
Shut
fuck
the fuck up.
Yep.
You're not lawyer. Are you wearing a black? Are you wearing a
They're
black shirt
smoking
right
weed.
now, lawyer?
In the commercials, they're smoking weed as they're doing this. It's like, just shut the fuck up. Okay, rule number 2: shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
All charges against Tayshaun have been dropped. Or Jim, pick a fucking name.
but then again, man, you lock someone in a fucking room for 24 hours, and you're like, hey, man, you can leave. Just talk to us. Talk to us, and we'll let you leave. Answer these questions. Just talk to us, and we'll let you leave.
You know,
Let you go.
when I came up to see Paul and Doug, I had to stop by the place where the murders took place.
Avery Salvation. I saw the pictures.
Yeah, I had to, and I was like, I know I'm being recorded because it's 4:00 in the morning, and
there's cameras, there's trail cams everywhere up here. But now I got a question for both you and John, and even Paul, if he has any recollection, because I've watched Making a Murder when they came out. I enjoyed them. I don't recall the nuances and the details of the case. However, I'll say this: both seasons of the show did a good job of showing me that like the case is clearly flawed, much like the West Memphis 3, and it needs to be looked at a little bit better. Now, that's from an outsider's perspective because I saw Making a Murder when I still lived in Florida, okay? I live closer now to where they are, and the consensus amongst a lot of people up here is that motherfucker did it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And I'm curious to hear your perspectives on it based on everything.
So I'll give my quick spiel on it. At the heart of it, a woman's life was lost. A woman was murdered. So I mean, like, let's not forget that when we bring up our opinions or what we think of the case.
Teresa Halbach, rest in peace.
Yes, she was murdered. So that's not lost on me. Do I think he did it? I don't know. I would say in the probable yes category, he did do it. However, I do think law enforcement took liberties with evidence and planting and to make sure it went that way to make sure that he was going to get locked up for it. I don't know anything for a fact. Go ahead.
Point of privilege. It's very rare that cops frame innocent people. Cops frame or plant evidence on people they know are guilty but don't have enough circumstantial evidence to.
So you're saying that the cops would plant evidence on a guy who had been wrongfully held in the Wisconsin prison system and
was currently suing
that a lot of money
in the process.
Currently suing for millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I go back and forth on whether he killed her or not, but here's the thing: Brendan Dassey's confession. He states we tied her to the bed, then we raped her, then we stabbed her, then we slit her throat, then we stabbed her in the side. And when they went to that bedroom and that bed, not a single hair or drop of blood was found. There is no way you are committing a crime like that and getting rid of all the DNA evidence. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, but she was shot in the head out in the garage. And the story just keeps changing, and his story keeps changing.
And they found her car keys on the 5th search of the house in the bedroom. Come on.
Yeah, there's too much fuckery going on in there.
I agree.
But here's my question, because in the documentary they almost kind of say, oh, the police fucking killed her, dumped her body on his property, and planted all the evidence. I don't think that's real. So who the fuck killed her?
Yeah,
and why?
And that's the sad part of the story.
That's what. Now there was other shit about a boyfriend and this and that, and she was getting weird phone calls, her professor said, from somebody she was involved with. Like, there's definitely shit that was going on in her life that we don't know about. And that needs to be brought to light, because I'm not going to buy that the police fucking killed her. I think I believe the police found her truck and her dead near the salvage yard and was like, oh, well, let's just go ahead and move this fucking truck over here onto this property so we can have an open and shut case. That's what I think happened.
Yeah, and then the person who moved it said, "Hey, how many times have we searched the house so far? 4. Let me do the next search. Oh,
Now-
look what I found right here in the corner of the bedroom. Her keys."
Right.
Now what bothers me is, and I listen to like the Wrongful Conviction podcast. I don't know if any of you guys ever checked that out. It's a good podcast. I just don't understand how Brendan Dassey is still behind bars.
Yeah.
There is no physical evidence, no nothing that ties him to this crime except for his false confession, which has already been pretty much proven that it's bullshit.
It's been proven in the eye of public opinion, but in a court of law, the confession still stands.
Yeah, which is fucking bullshit.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court rejected their case like years ago. I want to say like in 2017, the Supreme Court rejected hearing the case.
Yeah.
We need to get Amy Coney Barrett back on that.
Tell you what, Amy Cody, I don't know.
All right,
I was going to say something, but I just decided to shut up.
It is time for me to bid you farewell.
Yeah, I guess I gotta fucking.
Yeah, I'll run the end
finish
screen. I'll run the end screen and the music for 30 seconds, and then we'll
Do a little
end the
show
podcast.
business afterwards.
Yeah, so everybody shut up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Hey, where'd we go?
I'm right up top.
That's a lackluster ending. I'm at the bottom. Jizz rolls downhill onto my face.